OpenTTD is a game about moving things from one place to another and getting money from this. Typically, OpenTTD is on a sunny landscape. However, they also offer a winter option with an added layer of challenge that the normal climate doesn't offer. To start, we're allowed to look all around and see all the towns and industries. Getting a good look at everything, I make my business and name it Celloic Transport. And here's my character.
Are you sure?
Now that I have a business, I need somewhere to base my operations. I'm going to choose this town called Tuningstone. It's not too big, and soon everyone will know it as a place where I'm headquartered in. Now that I have this business, it's time to start making some money. To start, I'm going to need to take a loan out. So I get a $200,000 loan and put a train station down at a coal mine and at a power station. I'll buy a train and some coal carts. Then, I'll start moving coal from the mine to the power station. From doing this, I'll make some money. After making this train station, I'm doing pretty good money-wise, but I'm really greedy and want as much money as possible. So I place stations at a forest and a paper mill. The forest produces wood, and the paper mill takes the wood and produces paper. This paper can then go to printing works to make goods. Those goods are then sold to towns. So from doing all this, I can make a lot of money from just starting with wood and expanding on that. The next industry I want to break into is oil. There are a couple oil wells scattered on the map. Now, transporting oil doesn't get very much money on its own, and typically loses money if we only use that. However, oil refineries take oil and make more goods, which can then be sold to towns. I'm going to get an even bigger loan so that I can start making more money with these industries by transporting more of these things. One of the bad things about these industries though is they aren't as scalable as people are. I can take passengers from bus stops and take them to other parts of town, or even other towns, and I can make money proportional to how many passengers I have, which increases depending on the population of these towns. When these towns spawn in, they're stuck at whatever population they started with. However, by having industries that move people or goods, it increases the rate at which the population changes. A good industry that helps increase population are banks. Banks take gold from gold mines and give me money while also increasing the population. Having these down increases the change in population from no change to about every 200 days. This is good, but it could be a lot better. So I had 5 bus stations that transport people with 1 bus. Doing this increases the population rate exponentially and is now at about every 20 days. That's a 25 times increase. Now I need to expand from one town to multiple towns. So I set up another 5 bus stations as well as a train station. And in a few days they're all doing really well. One thing that is valuable to me is being able to check my finances. In this panel, it shows all the money I make from my different forms of transportation. I'm doing really well with trains, making about $200,000 a year. However, it also shows how much I pay to use those vehicles because I need to pay for fuel, maintenance, and workers. I'm spending about $30,000 a year on this, but that is only a fraction compared to how much I'm making. It also shows me my capital spending, which means everything I pay for that isn't for operating vehicles. This would be like the train stations, bus stations, or railways that I put down. This is where most of my spending goes, and I'm not making very much overall profit with about $45,000 a year. After having another town, I'm going to start going into the plane transportation business. Although it costs more, it moves things a lot further and faster. So to start, I'm going to have a passenger airline and a mail airline, and what's great is you can refit any plane into whatever cargo you want. Now that I've done this, I have to think about the debt that I've collected. As I've been building these, I've had to take more and more loans out, which has gotten me a total of $600,000 of debt. Not to mention the added interest rate that loaning that much money cost me, which is almost $12,000 a year. So, to settle my debts, I'm going to let my wealth accumulate so that I won't have to use the bank's money anymore, and I can use my own. While I'm waiting, I went to see what other towns I could expand to. But this town says it needs food to grow. This is where the final industries come into play and are possibly the most important for this run, because so many towns are locked behind the coverage of snow. When a town is founded in a snowy area, the town has to get food or else it won't grow no matter how many train stations or bus stops I put down. The industries that I'm mentioning are the farms and the food processing plants. This is the only way to get food in the game, so investing in this is going to be worth all the money I put into it, even if I start losing money. By increasing the population of these towns, it'll make me a lot more money after a given amount of time. And now I'm finally free of my debts to the bank, and I've also had an upgrade to my business building, so it's safe to say that Celloic Transport is doing pretty good.
Are you sure?
Now that I'm known in the transportation business, companies approach me to test their vehicles early. An example of this is this plane called the Guru Galaxy, which is better than what is currently available to the market. The planes that I'm using right now are fit for small airports. As time has progressed, I'm able to use larger airports meant for bigger planes. Planes like the Guru Galaxy are exactly what I'm looking for. It has a large amount of cargo it can carry, has a very low chance of failure, and the operating costs are tiny compared to other planes. There is another form of transportation that I've neglected to mention till now, and it is the use of ships. I didn't want to use these too soon because of how risky it is at the beginning, but typically towns or industries that are close to each other by water is when these are best used. Similar to planes, you can buy different ships depending on what you want to transport, like this passenger ferry for people, or this cargo ship which can carry gold, oil, or whatever else you want. Now that we're at a good spot, I believe I have covered all the industries, which are banks, coal mines, food processing plants, farms, forests, paper mills, oil refineries, printing works, oil wells, power stations, and gold mines. I've also used all the forms of transportation, which are planes, trains, trucks, and ships. But now that we have all these, what else is there to do besides expand into different towns? OpenTTD offers a hidden checklist you can access by clicking and holding onto the trophy and selecting detailed performance ratings. This checklist wants you to do all of these tasks, but I've already done a few, so getting the rest won't be very difficult. The first of these that I've finished is having enough stations. Unfortunately, I can't just place stations and have them counted, they have to be making a profit. So to solve this, I did it the best way I know how, with bus stations. After placing a ton of them, I completed this task. I then work on having 120 vehicles that are making a profit. Having these bus stations helped out a ton, so I kept making more and eventually completed this task. The next thing I worked on is delivering 40,000 units of cargo. To complete this, I buy new airplanes, trains, and even more bus stations. After doing this, I just have to wait for more money, and while I was waiting for that, I also completed the minimum profit. Finally, after waiting forever, I made $20 million, and with that final challenge being complete, I can say that I beat OpenTTD on its winter challenge.